Hey Gemini, welcome to your yearly 2019 Sidereal Astrology forecast. All right, so this year we have two key areas of emphasis for you. One is going to be Jupiter in your 6th house. So up until November, really good time for, if you're feeling a little inspired to cultivate maybe your routine or your health or your work, really good year to do this. Expanding your horizons with it. Some of you, because of this more broadened or different perspective about your routine sector, could see some opportunities or inspirations regarding the area. Now, along with this, your relationship sector, the 7th house, is going to have Saturn, Pluto, and the South Node. Lots of important planets here. And so likely a theme on relating, existing relationships, new relationships, all in the context of releasing some patterns. And really doing the work that it takes, for relationships and that discipline and patience stuff, and really facing fears as well with the area. Be very transforming, very liberating for you here this year. All right, so along with this, Uranus is going to be leaving Pisces and going into Aries, which is your 11th house. So around April onward, you could notice maybe some new and different things involving maybe your network circles, community, or maybe just your future aspirations being quite exciting that you'll be cultivating moving forward here. All right, so let's take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, Gemini, so here's your chart for the year. We're going to look at this month by month for 2019. Now, you will notice we are only looking at the outer planets. So, yeah, it's going to be a general look at the year. If you do want more specific looks at certain months or weeks, do check out the daily videos that I do there. All right, and you'll also notice, for those of you new to the channel, that the signs here are different from mainstream astrology. We are using the actual size of the constellations, which does change the signs. So if you are new, check that out. And you'll notice that since the signs are different, it means your signs are different. And so you do want to make sure you're watching this video for your sidereal Gemini. If you have any sun, moon, or ascendant in Gemini in your sidereal chart. So do check that out. There's a birth chart calculator down there to see what your sidereal signs are. All right, Gemini, so let's go ahead and take a look at January 1st, because there's a lot going on in January and it really sets the stage for the rest of the year. One, because we have the eclipses there, and then also we start the two important aspects that we have in the year. So looking at the eclipses first, January 5th, there is this solar eclipse with the South Node in that 7th. So right off the bat, there's likely going to be some releasing taking place involving your relationship sector. Now, this doesn't mean like literal external releasing or partnerships or anything like that. Just fundamentally a releasing within. And that's really what we want to do with the eclipses, especially the South Node, is, go within and see what is being released within. What can we release within that then leads to maybe making some external choices or something. But this is, a patient energy. This is going through the whole, really with this case, the next year and a half with the South Node, but the whole year. Saturn's here, which is all about doing the patient, responsible, disciplined thing with your relationship sector. And then Pluto here, breaking some patterns and some cycles and some belief systems about relationships, transforming them. So do the inner work there. January, I think it's great to do that. Inner releasing, what are some patterns you may have regarding relationships? This is, again, all relationships, so just the relating energies in your life or about yourself. And, see if there's any patterns with it, maybe some karmic stuff, maybe some cycles you may notice in your life that you do or something like this, that as you become aware of, the releasing just happens naturally. So that's going to be early in January. Then late January, January 21st, we then have the lunar eclipse, which is going to be in Cancer. And this is really solidifying a lot of what we had in 2018. And so for you, this is your self-reliant sector. If over the past year, 9 months or so, if you've been feeling like you're learning more about your self-reliance, if you're learning more about your material security or your resources, your inner resources, like your natural gifts and things, but also outer resources. Great time to really finalize this in January. Probably a status check here. If there was anything that started in 2018 involving this sector. Could be a high point with it, some sort of completion with it, but at the very least, some sort of status check where you can really continue to develop this self-reliance fundamentally and steadiness and resourcefulness of your personality. And that's going to help balance out a lot of the relationship stuff as well. All right, but do give it time because that North Node will be here up until April. So maybe April might be the final completion of this self-reliance and resource sector. All right, so let's take a look at all of the eclipses for the whole year, and then we'll come back to these aspects here, just so we can stay on context. So the next set of eclipses will be in July. And so the first eclipse will be a solar eclipse July 2nd, and that's going to be in your sign. So when we said April was a culmination with your resource sector and learning and exploring all that and developing all that, the new area of exploration and development will be on yourself, April onward, and on your independence. And focusing on your needs and what's important for you, because that's exactly what our relationships need, at least in this context. Because with all this releasing and work you're doing on the relationship sector, really, in order to bring real balance to relationships, we do need to know who we are and what we want, and we need to express our needs and be clear on this stuff, both for ourselves and our partners and others. And so, really good time April onward for the rest of the year to explore more about who you are, to build your relationship with yourself, to take action and initiative to build that sense of confidence and courage within yourself as well. And all of this self-exploration is all, like I said, going to be really facilitating all areas of life, but particularly probably those relationships. And so July 2nd, great time to maybe set some intentions here with maybe some new beginnings involving your independence. Now, July 16th, we'll have the lunar eclipse, and that will be in the 7th house. So if there was anything that started earlier in the year, that January time in particular, involving that releasing we were talking about, there could be a completion or some sort of awareness of that or finalization of it in some way. So good to do this, particularly good to do a status check in July regarding relationships. How are they going? What's the work you've been doing there? And really see if there's some things that, again, through this awareness you want to release. Patterns, cycles, concerns, releasing fears with Pluto so close to the South Node, maybe even releasing some limiting beliefs or any self-limitations you may have, right, involving the South Node. These are some good things to kind of become aware of, which I think you naturally will become aware of at that time and really help you transition there for the rest of the year, for the remaining 6 months. And then once we get to December, this usually doesn't happen. Usually we only have 2 eclipse seasons, but we're right on the cusp here of the years with the seasons. And so we are going to have a solar eclipse at the very end on December 26th, and this will be in that 7th house. So, to finalize the year, I think there's going to be this new journey that you might be on involving relationships or a newfound sense of spirit or optimism or something like this with the solar eclipse conjunct Jupiter here. So late December, really good time to invoke a bit of that open mind and perspective and willingness to learn about relationships, which could begin 2020 on that same area, but again, in a bit more of that inspiring and open-minded kind of way. Maybe even some new opportunities there as well. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the transits starting in January. We have 2 important transits this year. One is going to be Jupiter squaring up to Neptune, and the other Saturn sextiling up to Neptune, both involving Neptune. So that's really the kind of area of focus with the aspects here. And so Neptune has been in your 9th house. And so for about the past 10 years, your life journey has been about really listening to your intuition, following your inner guidance to where it leads you. Some of you even, really getting into maybe spiritual philosophies or spiritual beliefs and perspectives on life and things like this. So there will likely be an emphasis on that this year. And a great way of incorporating it will be with all of this stuff you do with maybe your health or your work or routine. That's really going to be emphasized. Like I said, up until about November, it's going to be a great time for using your time management, energy management, your routine, health, diet. It may just come a little bit easy here where maybe you're not feeling guided to, because sometimes with Jupiter it could be where we're a bit lazy, but this is where the opportunity is. So as you do build that routine and that momentum with your day-to-day, you'll likely find that to be very supportive, creating opportunities here. Your whole beliefs and perspectives are changing about your routine or your work or health and things like this. And yeah, and it's going to, you know, again, support all areas there, but particularly this one, the routine sector. Now, as you do that, that's going to be directly supporting some of this life path stuff, right? So this kind of journey you've been on. And so when you set the intention to see how you can, you know, do this routine stuff in such a way that's constructive to your future ideals, to maybe your dreams, hopes, aspirations, things of this nature, and things that involve your adventurous side, like, because that's where the dreams and ideals are, really good to do that. How can you incorporate structure with free-spiritedness, or structure with spirituality, right, with that square? And that's going to be starting January and pretty much for the whole year, but in this case, strongly up until about September with that one. Now, the other one is Saturn sextiling up to Neptune. And so this is a synergy between the relationship sector that's, again, getting built, that you're taking seriously, and this life path. So again, that work will likely be very supportive, very constructive to this kind of life path that's been about, again, finding that ebb and flow and seeing how everything happens in divine timing when it comes to potentials, opportunities, and just that spirit for life when we are going about life in that present moment. And also with philosophies and spiritual beliefs and things like that, if that's been the case for you. Also very constructive with relationships. All right, so those are the aspects. Now, in terms of this Uranus, because Uranus is going to go into Aries in April. So April time, we may notice maybe a final completion. If over the past 10 years, if a lot of, you know, if you've been trying new and different things involving your career, or you've been molding your career to be more of a reflection of your true self, you know, this can be a finalization of this around April. And where Uranus is going for the next 5 years will be in the sector that has to do with your future aspirations. So you may find that you're doing unique and different things regarding your future aspirations. Some of you maybe even getting into your humanitarian side and contributing to things, or doing global things, or things that are, you know, for things larger than yourself, right? These kinds of future progressive things are really getting shaken up in a good way. It's Uranus's house, and he's in a fire sign, which is way more comfortable for him than Pisces was. And so great to mix this up, even meeting new people, new communities, friendships, network circles, innovation, technology, science. Be a lot of excitement here with this area. So you probably noticed that shift April. All right, so yep, that is the year in a nutshell. And again, you know, at the very end of the year, Jupiter's going to finalize that 6th house in November regarding the work and routine, and he is going to go into your 7th of relationships. So these last couple months of the year, you could again notice maybe that it's not all in that serious energy with Pluto, Saturn, South Node. It's also got a bit of this buoyant energy, or you're just a bit open-minded about relationships and maybe some opportunities. And again, maybe some new beginnings there. December 26th with the solar eclipse. All right, so Gemini, have a fantastic year. Thank you for watching. Now, down below is a 20% discount on a personal reading if you do want one for the year, so do check that out. And yeah, thank you again for all of your support, and I'll see you all next time for the daily forecast. Take care.